Introduction. The opening mood is heavy because this is no longer a normal adventure. Every ally, every promise, and every preparation from earlier volumes now matters. Rudius understands that protecting his family means standing in the middle of a battle that can change the future of the world. The threat is not only geese or Hitagami anymore. The true obstacle is Badagati wearing the legendary fighting god armor, a weapon born from Laplace's era. The volume begins with the feeling that the story is reaching its final wall. Rudius has survived many impossible moments, but this time the whole world seems to be watching the result. Event 1. Sandor reflects on his life. Sandor remembers how his desire to be a legendary hero once caused more harm than peace. That realization pushed him away from chasing glory and toward guiding others instead. He sees Rudius differently from most people. Rudius does not look like a classic hero, but the people around him trust him deeply, and that makes Sandor wonder if Rudius is the real center of this era's story. Then the enemy appears before him. Badagati, transformed by the fighting god armor. Sandor recognizes that this is an opponent from legend, far beyond a normal warrior. Sandor steps forward to buy time. He knows he may lose, but he chooses to stand in front of the fighting god anyway because supporting the true hero's story has become his role. Event 2. Badagati overwhelms Sandor. Sandor's staff and techniques are useless against the armor's power. Even his experience as a legendary fighter cannot close the gap. He stands beside Badagati, pushing him forward and making sure he does not waste time. His calm instructions prove that he is not just a cowardly survivor anymore. He is Hitagami's strategist. Atof, the ogre god, and other allies begin arriving at the battlefield. The situation expands from a duel into a massive final confrontation. The first lesson is clear. No single fighter can defeat the fighting god alone. If Rudius wants to win, everyone must fight together. Event 3. Rudius's side regroups. Rudius looks at the allies around him and realizes how different his life has become. He is not alone anymore. He has warriors, mages, family, and friends who all choose to stand with him. The plan becomes simple but brutal. Survive the fighting god's attacks, keep him from breaking through, and create even the smallest opening. Roxy, Sylphie, Eris, Ruijerd, Atof, and the others each prepare to use their own strengths. This is no longer one person's battle. The battle line forms. Against the fighting god armor, even small coordination becomes precious because a single mistake can mean death. Event 4. Every trump card is used. Roxy and Sylphie provide magical support, trying to control the battlefield and keep the team alive through timing and precision. Eris moves like a blade made of willpower. She cannot overpower the armor by herself, but she can force Badagati to respond to her killing intent. Ruijerd, Atof, and the stronger front-line fighters hold the physical pressure. Their job is to stop the enemy long enough for Rudius to think and act. Even with all this effort, Badagati continues pushing forward. The fighting god armor feels less like armor and more like a calamity wearing a body. Event 5. Rudius faces the true cost of victory. The fifth turning point is not only about a single attack. It is the moment where Rudius must choose to risk himself fully for the people and future he wants to protect. He thinks of his family, his children, his wives, his parents, and every person who helped him reach this battlefield. That memory gives him the courage to keep moving even when the enemy looks unbeatable. Rudius steps forward not because he is fearless, but because fear no longer controls him. This is the answer to the life he started as a broken man in another world. Event 6. The fighting god armor endures. The team changes tactics again and again. Magic blasts, sword strikes, defensive barriers, and support spells all become part of one continuous struggle. The enemy's endurance is the true nightmare. It is not enough to hit Badagati. They need to find a way to stop the armor's momentum completely. Several allies are injured while trying to hold the line. The battle becomes a test of stamina, loyalty, and trust. Even so, the team refuses to collapse. Every time one person falls back, another steps forward to cover the gap. Event 7. Eris and Ruijerd face Galfarian. Eris has spent years training to stand beside Rudius, and this duel proves how far she has come since leaving him behind after the Orsted incident. Ruijerd fights with the calm precision of a veteran who has survived countless battlefields. His presence balances Eris's fierce aggression. Together, they pressure Gal in a way neither could manage alone. The fight becomes a clash of sword styles, instincts, and wills. When Gal falls, it is not treated as a simple victory. It is the end of a powerful warrior's path, and another sign that the old legends are finally giving way to the next generation. Event 8. Rudius faces Alec. Their battle is dangerous because Alec has overwhelming combat ability and experience. Rudius has to fight with intelligence, distance, and timing rather than pure sword skill. Rudius uses magic and equipment to force openings, trying to survive long enough to turn the battle in his favor. The duel shows how far Rudius has grown as a fighter. He is still not a swordsman like Eris or Ruijerd, but he has become a terrifying battlefield commander in his own right. By defeating Alec, Rudius removes another major pillar from Hitagami's side and changes his own place in the world's power structure. Event 9. Ogre God and Atoph hold the line. Atoph's strange personality does not disappear, but in battle she proves why she is one of the most terrifying immortal demons alive. The Ogre God fights with the weight of someone protecting his land and his people. His presence gives the allies a wall to stand behind, but the fighting god armor is too powerful for even legendary monsters to handle safely. The cost of stopping it keeps rising. The battlefield starts to feel like a graveyard of legends, where ancient powers are being spent to give Rudius one chance at victory. Event 10. Teamwork becomes the only path. Rudius coordinates attacks so that each ally's movement supports the next. One person draws attention, another blocks, another heals, and another strikes the opening. Roxy and Sylphie's magic becomes essential because the front line cannot survive without constant support. Eris, Ruijerd, Atoph, and the others keep forcing the fighting god to react. Every moment they buy gives Rudius more time to aim at the real weakness. For the first time, the unstoppable enemy begins to look stoppable, not because he is weak, but because Rudius's entire life has produced an army of people willing to stand with him. Event 11. Geese reaches his end. Rudius confronts the painful truth that Geese was once a trusted companion, someone connected to Paul and to the rescue journey for Zenith. Geese is not strong with sword or magic, but his survival instinct, cleverness, and loyalty to Hitagami made him one of the most dangerous enemies of all. Their final confrontation is emotionally complicated. Rudius hates what Geese has done, but he also understands that Geese followed his own fear, debts, and twisted sense of loyalty. When Geese is finally removed from the board, it feels less like triumph and more like the closing of a long, painful betrayal. Event 12. Final effort against Badagadi. The clash reaches its most chaotic stage, with magic, swords, bodies, and strategy all colliding at once. Badagadi's armor continues to resist, but the combined effort of Rudius's allies finally creates the decisive chance. The fighting god is defeated by teamwork rather than a single heroic blow. That matters because it reflects the entire meaning of Rudius's second life. The battle ends with exhaustion, silence, and shock. The impossible enemy has fallen, and Hitagami's plan has failed for now. Event 13. The final dream. Rudius understands that his role was never to personally solve every future problem. His role was to create the people, bonds, and conditions that would let the future fight continue. The story then moves forward in time. At 34 years old and beyond, Rudius is no longer only a fighter. He is a husband, father, builder, and symbol of the era he helped shape. His life becomes quieter, but not meaningless. The peace he gains is the reward for the many choices he made after reincarnation. This section begins shifting the story away from war and toward legacy. Rudius's greatest victory is not power, but the life he managed to build. Event 14. The world after death. Unlike his first life, Rudius does not die alone, bitter, or full of regret. He dies having loved, struggled, failed, improved, and protected what mattered to him. After death, he faces Hitagami one final time. Hitagami remains trapped in fear of the future, while Rudius is finally free from the need to chase or prove anything. The epilogue, Prologue 0, reveals the deeper origin behind the teleportation mystery and connects Rudius's life to events that began before he ever entered the world. The ending makes the story feel circular. What began as a second chance for one broken man becomes part of a much larger chain of fate, choice, and hope. Event 15. Badagadi and the armor become one final wall. Badagadi and the fighting god armor is not just another strong enemy. He becomes the final physical wall standing between Rudius's side and the chance to end Hitagami's current plan. This section emphasizes how terrifying the armor is. It resists damage, keeps moving, and turns even legendary fighters into people struggling for seconds of survival. Badagadi himself adds tragedy and weight to the fight. This is not a faceless machine. It is a person bound to a legendary power with catastrophic consequences. The heroes must stop both the warrior and the armor's momentum. Every attack becomes part of a larger attempt to create one narrow opening. For narration, this event clarifies why the final battle feels so overwhelming. The enemy is not strong in one way. He is strong in every way that matters. Event 16. Every relationship. becomes a weapon of survival. The final battle proves that Rudius's real power is not only magic, it is the network of people who chose to stand with him over the course of his life. Eris, Roxy, Ruijerd, Atof, the Obergod, Orsted side, and many others matter because no single person can win this fight alone. This section highlights the theme of accumulated bonds. The relationships built across 26 volumes become the answer to a threat that raw talent cannot defeat. Rudius survives because he learned to connect with people, ask for help, and protect others in return. That is the emotional payoff of the entire series. For a video audience, this event frames the final battle as a culmination of relationships rather than just a clash of powers. Event 17. Geese's end closes a long betrayal. Geese's final role is painful because he was once connected to Paul's party and Rudius's past. His betrayal is not empty villainy. It is shaped by survival, resentment, and Hidegami's influence. This section gives extra attention to why his end matters. Geese is not the strongest enemy, but he is one of the most dangerous organizers on Hidegami's side. His defeat closes the recruitment war that began in earlier volumes. The allies he gathered caused enormous danger, but his path finally reaches its end. Rudius facing the consequences of Geese's actions also connects the final battle back to earlier emotional wounds involving Paul, Zenith, and the old search party. For narration, this event helps the audience understand that Geese's conclusion is both strategic and personal. Event 18. Rudius's life becomes the true victory. The ending of Volume 26 is powerful because the final victory is not only defeating an enemy, it is Rudius living a complete life surrounded by the family he built. The final dream and the world after death shift the story from battle to reflection. The question becomes whether Rudius truly lived without wasting his second chance. His peaceful old age is the answer. He does not become a perfect person, but he becomes someone who loved, protected, worked, failed, learned, and kept moving forward. This section gives emotional closure to the reincarnation premise. The boy who began as a regret-filled man from another world ends as someone whose life had meaning. For the final video narration, this event should feel quiet, grateful, and complete. The main story ends not with power, but with a life fully lived. Conclusion. The final battle proves that no single legend is enough. Orsted, Rudius, Eris, Roxy, Sylphie, Ruijerd, Atof, Sandor, and many others all contribute to the result. Geese and Badigadi represent the last major obstacles of Hidegami's side in Rudius's lifetime, and their defeat gives the future a chance to move forward. The final chapters remind us that Rudius's greatest achievement is not becoming powerful. His greatest achievement is living a full second life with family, friends, purpose, and fewer regrets. Volume 26 ends Rudius Graret's tale with peace, legacy, and closure. The world will continue, but his story has reached the answer he wanted from the beginning. This time, he truly lived.